The night was quiet in Ouagadougou. The stars were high, but the city below was restless. A strange wind moved through the trees near the presidential villa. Captain Ibrahim Traoré was sitting in his small reading room, not in his big office. He liked this quiet place when thinking about heavy matters. He had his boots off, just wearing a simple brown shirt. There was no music, no phones ringing. Only the sound of the ceiling fan spinning slowly above. Then, 3 sharp knocks. His door opened quickly. One of his top military aides stepped inside, sweating hard, even though the night was cool. "Captain," he said, trying to catch his breath. "We have a situation." Traoré stood up straight. "What is it?" The aide swallowed. 17 Burkina hostages. 2 foreign doctors. Taken by armed men near the Mali border. Traoré's eyes narrowed. "Taken? When?" "This afternoon, sir. But the message just reached us now. The hostages were helping build a small health center. They were not armed. They never expected an attack." Traoré paced the room. "Who took them?" The aide hesitated. "The armed group we've been tracking in the north. Same ones using desert roads to smuggle weapons. Same men funded by outsiders. They've taken the hostages into an abandoned school building. They are threatening to kill 1 hostage every 24 hours if no money is paid." Traoré shook his head slowly. His voice dropped. "They want money." "Yes, sir." And silence. Traoré stopped walking. He looked outside the window. A dog barked in the distance. He turned back to the aide. "I will not leave them behind. No one left behind. Not my people. Not the foreigners who believed in us." "But sir," the aide said, "if you go, it's risky. The enemy knows our movements. Your name is on their list. They've tried before. If they know you're nearby, they will kill every hostage just to draw you out." "I know," Traoré said. "Let the special forces handle it, sir. You can command from here." "No," Traoré said firmly. "If I send men to danger, I must go too. How will I lead if I stay behind every time there's fire?" The aide looked away, unsure what to say. "I'll choose 7 men. No convoy. No noise. Just shadows." 2 hours later, the mission was set. The air was thin with tension. Traoré did not wear his uniform. No medals. No stars. Just dark desert clothes and a wrapped scarf to hide his face. He carried a radio, a map, and a prayer in his heart. The 7 soldiers who went with him were handpicked. Loyal. Sharp. Brave. They were trained for secret operations, men who could walk through forests like air. They moved through the dark, avoiding main roads. They passed through broken villages where dogs barked but no people were seen. Traoré sat in the back of a small pickup truck, silent, watching the moon rise higher and higher. One soldier in the front spoke softly. "Captain, we may reach the edge of the village by morning." That's where the signal stopped. "Good," Traoré said. "No shooting unless we're seen. The hostages' lives come first." Suddenly, the truck slowed. Something moved in the distance. A man was standing on the side of the road, waving slowly, holding a pot of water. He looked like a poor farmer. The driver prepared to stop, thinking he needed help. But Traoré raised his hand. "Wait. Something's not right." The man walked closer, smiling too much. "Water," he said in a soft voice. "For the journey." "Peace to you." One of the soldiers jumped down to collect the pot. But another soldier shouted, "No. Captain! Don't touch it." Everyone froze. That soldier had served in the Sahel for 5 years. He had seen this trick before. The pot was glass. Inside the water, floating near the bottom, was a thin paper. A signal. It was not a gift. It was a marking device, meant to trace or target their location. When they turned back to look at the man, he was gone. He had vanished into the trees. Traoré closed his eyes for a second. Then he opened them. "They know we're coming," he said. "But they don't know when or how. That gives us a small window." He looked at his men. "If we fail, people die. If we are caught, we are traded like goats. But if we succeed, we bring 19 souls back home." No one said a word. They all nodded. And the truck rolled on deeper into the night. The sun had not yet risen when Captain Traoré and his team reached a dry, lonely area near the northern border. The air was cooler, but the silence was heavy. The desert wind moved slowly over the sand. The only sound was the tires rolling over rocks and dust. They stopped under a dead tree. One of the soldiers pulled out a small device and checked it. "This is the place," he whispered. "Signal came from here. There's an old village nearby. Mostly abandoned." Another soldier, tall and sharp-eyed, added, "The school is just behind that hill. They are keeping the hostages there. We saw a few men, armed. Some spoke in strange accents. Foreigners maybe." Traoré nodded. "Mercenaries. They're getting help from outside. This is not just some poor rebel group. They're organized." He opened a paper map. Drew a circle around the school building. Then an arrow from the west. "We attack from here," he said. "At night. Quietly. No gunfire unless needed. We wait until they switch guards." A younger soldier asked, "And what if they see us first?" "Then we fight," Traoré said calmly. "But not to die. We fight to free them and live." The men nodded again. But their eyes showed the fear. Not of death, but of failure. They waited the whole day in a dugout hiding spot. They used dried grass to cover themselves. The sun was hot. Flies buzzed. One soldier began praying quietly, counting prayer beads in his hand. Another watched the school from far with binoculars. 3 men at the entrance. 2 more walking in circles. 1 is inside. "Probably guarding the hostages," the scout said. At 7:30 p.m., as the sky turned orange, the moment came. They crawled out. Weapons ready. Each man took a different direction, just like planned. Suddenly, a man from the nearby village approached their small camp. He had goats with him. He looked old and kind. "Water?" he asked in Fulani. Traoré smiled, hiding his face behind his scarf. "We're fine," he said. But the old man moved closer. Too close. His hands were shaking. One of the soldiers reached out to take the plastic bottle. Just then, the oldest soldier, Sergeant Diarra, shouted, "Drop it! Back away!" He had seen it. The water had a strange blue powder inside. It looked like medicine, but it wasn't. It was a slow-acting poison, often used by smugglers and spies. The kind that weakens the body after a few hours. The old man dropped the bottle and ran. They tried to catch him, but he was gone in seconds. "Another setup," Diarra said, breathing hard. "They're trying to poison us before we get close. Assassination attempt number 1. Quiet. Clever. Almost worked." Traoré looked at the others. "They're watching us. Maybe they know we're coming," he said. "We move tonight. Or never?" At 10:12 p.m., they began the final approach. They walked on foot now, moving through tall dry grass, stepping slowly. Then, boom! A sharp blast lit the sky. One soldier had stepped on a hidden landmine. His name was Wuri. His leg flew into the air. Blood everywhere. He screamed as the team pulled him back behind a rock. Traoré ran to him. Wuri was still alive, crying in pain. "I'm sorry, Captain," he said, shaking. "I should have looked. You did nothing wrong, Traoré said, pressing on the bleeding leg. You're a lion. They injected him with painkiller, wrapped his leg, and called a small backup team to extract him quietly. But the explosion had already caused damage. It had alerted the enemy. Gunshots rang out in the night. They were being ambushed. Assassination attempt number 2, a landmine trap followed by a hidden attack. Traoré ordered his team to take cover behind trees and rocks. They shot back only when necessary. For 10 minutes, the desert turned into fire. Then, silence. 2 of the attackers were down. The rest ran into the dark. We're too close now, one soldier said. They'll kill the hostages if we wait longer. Traoré stood up, holding his rifle tight. We go now. Follow me. We finish this before dawn. They ran low, sticking to shadows, and reached the back of the school. Inside, lights were on. Hostages were tied up. Some bleeding. A few unconscious. And near the corner, a masked man held a gun to the head of a foreign doctor. That's when Traoré stepped forward, not with fear but with fire in his eyes. The school building was quiet on the outside, but inside, it was full of fear. The walls were cracked, and the windows were covered with old cloth. In one classroom, the hostages were tied to chairs, mouths taped. Some had bruises. A few were shaking. 2 were children. 3 armed men guarded the door. One stood close to a foreign doctor. His finger was on the trigger. Captain Traoré and his team moved silently around the back of the building. He whispered, "We don't fire unless we must. We get them out alive. That's all that matters." His heart was heavy. His shoulder still ached from falling during the landmine blast earlier. But he showed no pain. His eyes were full of focus. One soldier climbed through a broken side window. He signaled that the room was clear. Then everything happened fast. One of the guards inside the classroom heard a noise. He shouted in Arabic and ran toward the window. The soldier fired. 1 bullet. 1 guard down. The second guard fired back wildly. Traoré dashed into the room just in time. He rolled on the floor, kicked over a desk, and used it for cover. He saw a hostage woman tied to a chair and bleeding from her forehead. Her eyes were wide with fear. The third guard stood up and pointed his rifle straight at the foreign doctor. Traoré didn't think. He threw his own body across the room, crashing into the guard. A shot rang out. The bullet didn't hit the doctor. It hit Traoré right in the shoulder. He screamed, but didn't stop. He wrestled the gun from the man's hand and knocked him to the ground. His left arm went numb. Blood poured down his shirt. But he pulled the tape from the hostages' mouths with his right hand. "You are safe now," he said softly, even while shaking. The rest of the soldiers rushed in. They cut ropes. They carried the injured. They cleared every room, fast and quiet. One soldier stayed behind to carry a little girl who could not walk. Traoré tried to walk, but he stumbled. He was losing blood fast. "Captain, let me help you," a soldier shouted. "I'm fine," Traoré whispered. But he wasn't. Outside, the team ran toward the trucks. The sky was still dark, but danger was not over. Just before reaching the vehicles, a strange sound came from the trees. A soft click. A sniper rifle. One of the enemy shooters had climbed a tree earlier and was waiting. Now, he saw his perfect target, Captain Traoré, weak, walking slowly, blood on his shirt. The sniper aimed at Traoré's head. Then, boom. A soldier named Adama saw it just in time. He jumped in front of the captain. The bullet hit Adama in the back. He fell to the ground, eyes wide open. He didn't move. He was dead. Everything froze. Traoré fell to his knees beside Adama, holding his lifeless hand. Another soldier fired back at the tree. The sniper fell. Assassination attempt number 3, a clean sniper shot meant to kill the captain after the rescue. It failed, but it cost a soldier's life. Traoré clenched his teeth in pain and grief. He died for me, he said. No, another soldier answered. He died for what you stand for. They packed into the trucks. All 19 hostages were alive. 2 were badly hurt. One was a young boy with deep wounds on his back. The doctors began treating him inside the truck. The road back to Ouagadougou was long. They used side paths, avoiding known terrorist routes. Traoré sat in the back, holding his bleeding arm. His head leaned against the metal. He didn't speak. He didn't complain. He just breathed slowly. By the time they reached the city, the sun was rising. Orange light covered the land. Doctors rushed him to a small military hospital. They removed the bullet. Stitched the wound. He stayed in bed for 2 days, but refused to be moved to a bigger hospital. When the media asked about the operation, Traoré said nothing. No press release. No photo. No speech. But the rescued hostages told the truth. They said, "A man with fire in his eyes saved us." He didn't act like a president. He acted like a brother. A soldier. A protector. A week later, when Traoré could stand, he walked into a quiet room where all his soldiers stood. They saluted him. He looked at them and spoke slowly. "You risked your lives with me. You followed me into fire. Some people say a president should stay in his palace. But I say, if your people are crying, you go to them. If your soldiers are bleeding, you bleed with them. If your nation is in chains, you break it with your own hands." He paused. His voice cracked. "Adama died so I could live. So I will live for all of you. And I will never run from danger, never." The soldiers clapped. Some wept. Burkina Faso did not announce the mission to the world. But every soldier who heard the story knew one thing. Their captain did not just wear the uniform. He carried the weight of a nation on his shoulder. Even when it was bleeding.